Well, a big problem that unites teachers everywhere is that problem of trying to get boys excited about reading. I know biologically, they just develop a little later than girls. They come into school and they're not quite ready to be readers yet. Another thing is they don't get to read texts that they enjoy. And a lot of boys want to read things like nonfiction. They want information.
I like to read sports biographies.
Yeah.
And I like to read fantasy.
Oh, that's a great point.
Sometimes I want to read like a funny book, and sometimes I want to read like a novel.
As a teacher, I'd use anything to get boys reading. That included comics and graphic novels. Comics are good, but don't take my word for it. Françoise Mouly is art director of the New Yorker magazine.
It's important to understand that your child might be reading a comic book, but your child is reading, and that will lead her into loving books and reading.
Françoise launched Toon Books, a set of comics in book form for younger kids who are just starting to read. With original stories like Jack in the Box, written and illustrated by Art Spiegelman.
What it really embodies is, I think, the experience that you can have with books. It is first an element of surprise. And what happens often with those Toon Books is that the kids can't wait to get through the story, and then they want to read it again and again and again. A simple cartoon can speak wonders to complex ideas.
Meanwhile, across town, graphic artist Dan Goldman goes to work. With Shooting War, he attacked the role of the media in the war on terror. Not a book for kids, but some still got hold of it.
I've had a lot of younger people come up to me at book signings and comic conventions and tell me that, you know, your book kicked ass, man. Oh, it's like reading a video game. But there are a lot of other people that have said, you know, I didn't understand why I hated the news until I read this book.
Now he's deliberately targeting a younger audience with 08, a graphic diary of the presidential race for the White House.
It was an opportunity for me to get to draw a lot of kind of Frankenstein, John McCain's, and desperate-looking Hillary Clinton's, and squeaky clean and ridiculously handsome Barack Obama's. Comics are really well suited to this kind of thing because the text can say one thing and the pictures can make you feel something very different, and then the two together all of a sudden is a very complex mixture. I've got a sequence here. In one of the early debates, we have all of the Democratic candidates, and the lines that would separate the figures I've taken away so that it's just a blob of soot with all the word balloons coming out of each figure's mouth are saying the exact same talking points in a different order. And to me, in one panel, that really summed up what was so unimpressive about most of the Democratic candidates. I hope that this would be the sort of thing that could be taught in schools.
The statistics are such that the readers of superhero comics read 5 to 6 times more books than the average American. You know, another good example is the New Yorker readers. They will all tell you that they read the cartoons first in the New Yorker. But that doesn't mean that they don't also read the articles.
I think the only way it could be a bad thing is if the stories are crap and they're not well written.